Welcome to Tech Blueprint, a window that lets you know the latest technology news in the world. Before the Biden administration steps down, it will announce a new measure to restrict chip exports. The new rules are said to focus on export restrictions on specific Chinese entities and more than 100 chip manufacturing equipment research and development companies. In addition, some high-bandwidth memory (HBM) clauses will be added. Will the United States introduce new rules for chip restrictions? Bloomberg's latest report said that the outgoing Biden administration is preparing to further restrict the sale of semiconductor equipment and AI storage chips to China. It is said that these new measures will not be as severe as initially expected and are expected to be announced as early as next week. Chip restrictions, proposals changed again. Nothing is final before the official announcement. Previous proposals by U.S. officials, including the final policy release time, have undergone multiple rounds of changes. During this period, they have negotiated with allies such as Japan and the Netherlands after months of deliberation. In response, U.S. chip equipment manufacturers have continued to object, warning that increasingly stringent measures will only cause catastrophic damage to their own business. According to people familiar with the matter, the latest proposal is a key difference from the previous draft. The first question is which Chinese companies should be included in the entity list. The new rules will focus on restricting exports to specific Chinese entities rather than broad categories of chip makers. Among them, two wafer fabs are mainly targeted, while suppliers have been reduced from the original 12 to single digits. In addition, the new restrictions will include some provisions on high-bandwidth memory, HBM. These chips are used to handle data storage and are a key component of artificial intelligence. According to people familiar with the matter, Samsung Electronics, SK Hynix, and U.S. memory chip maker Micron Technology are expected to be affected by the new measures. But one of China's DRAM manufacturers, a company with the ability to produce HBM2, will not be directly affected. The list will also include more than 100 Chinese companies engaged in the research and development of emerging semiconductor manufacturing equipment. This is also the main purpose of the new measures, which is to ultimately curb the technological development of China's own chip manufacturing equipment suppliers and limit the supply of chip manufacturing tools that promote the development of China's AI field. Affected by this, chip stocks in Asia and Europe rose sharply. ASML stock price rose as much as 5.5%, leading chip equipment companies including Besi and Aixtron. In Japan, Tokyo Electron stock price soared 7%, Screen Holdings rose 6%, and Kakusai Electric rose nearly 13%. May be opposed by Japan and the Netherlands. The latest plan is a victory of some kind for American chip equipment manufacturers including Lam Research, Applied Materials, and KLA-Tencor. For months, these manufacturers have opposed unilateral U.S. export restrictions on China, including sanctions on 6 suppliers of Chinese companies. They are worried that competitors from Tokyo Electron, ASML, and other companies may fill the gap in the market and put themselves at a disadvantage in the global market. In 2022, Japan and the Netherlands launched some measures to match U.S. measures, but both countries have recently resisted U.S. demands for further tightening controls. This summer, U.S. officials tried a tough negotiating strategy, warning allies that the United States might directly restrict foreign companies' exports to China, but it was seen as an extreme overreach by Japan and the Netherlands. To this end, the United States has taken a tough approach, hoping to pressure allies to take restrictive measures through the so-called Foreign Direct Product Rules, FDPR. Especially in light of Trump's future return to the White House, Japan and the Netherlands have been cool to the new measures of the outgoing government. The new U.S. rules, while also restricting some additional categories of tools, still exclude allies, including Japan and the Netherlands, from the FDPR provisions, according to people familiar with the matter. It is not clear whether Japan or the Netherlands will eventually impose additional restrictions on the Chinese companies that the US now plans to sanction. Global powers are caught in a battle over computer chips. Chips are the core power of the digital economy, and their increasing computing power is driving the development of technologies such as generative AI. Against this backdrop, these semiconductor devices have naturally become the focus of fierce competition between the world's economic superpowers. The US government has already introduced a series of restrictions to curb the development of Chinese semiconductors, ensuring that the country maintains its leading position in this key field. Why are chips so important? Chips are essential for processing and understanding data, which has become the lifeblood of the economy like oil. Memory chips are used to store data, have a relatively simple structure, and are traded like commodities in the market. Logic chips are responsible for running programs. As the brain of the device, its structure is more complex and its price is higher. AI accelerators like NVIDIA's H100 are already closely linked to national security and the development of technology giants. For example, Google and Microsoft are competing to build large data centers to compete for the leading position in the future of computing. Who dominates the chip supply chain? Chip manufacturing has developed into an industry with increasingly high barriers and high concentration. New wafer fabs require investments of more than $20 billion, take several years to build, and must operate at full capacity 24 hours a day to achieve profitability. This scale requirement has resulted in only 3 companies with cutting-edge manufacturing technology: TSMC, Samsung and Intel. Among them, TSMC and Samsung, as wafer foundries, provide chip manufacturing services to global customers. Intel used to mainly produce chips for itself, but is now also starting to compete in the foundry business. Downstream, there is also a large analog chip industry. Companies such as Texas Instruments and ST Microelectronics are the main manufacturers of such chips, which are mainly used for power management, temperature control, and sound signal conversion in smartphones. What is the situation of chip competition? In 2023, the United States introduced strict control measures on the most advanced chips and chip manufacturing equipment, restricting China's development of technologies such as supercomputing and AI. In addition, the United States also pressured its partners to restrict China's access to relatively mature chip manufacturing technologies such as immersion deep ultraviolet lithography, DUV, while restricting itself from importing semiconductor products from China. But the US government believes that it is far from enough to curb China's development. So, in 2022, the CHIPS and Science Act was passed, which specifically allocated $39 billion for direct subsidies and provided $75 billion in loans and loan guarantees to revitalize the domestic chip manufacturing industry in the United States. What are the strategic layouts of various countries? The European Union has formulated a plan totaling $46.3 billion to expand local chip manufacturing capabilities. The European Commission estimates that total public and private investment in the industry will exceed $108 billion. The goal is to double the EU's chip production by 2030, accounting for 20% of the global market. Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry has raised about $25.3 billion for the Semiconductor Revitalization Plan launched in 2021. Specific projects include TSMC's 2 wafer fabs in Kumamoto Prefecture and another wafer fab in Hokkaido. At the Hokkaido plant, Rapidus Corporation plans to achieve mass production of 2 nanometers advanced logic chips in 2027. In February, India approved a $15.2 billion semiconductor manufacturing plant investment plan, including a proposal for India's first large-scale chip manufacturing plant led by the Tata Group. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund is also considering a large-scale investment, the specific amount is not disclosed, to launch the country's semiconductor industry development plan.